This is a crazy small HD video projector, but is it bright enough? Let's check it out. Dave Taylor here, and I want to talk about video projectors. Now, there are a lot of video projectors on the market, and a lot of them tend to be in that 720p, sort of halfway between old school TV and HD. But the good ones actually are HD, and the really expensive ones are 4K. You don't really want to pay for a full 4K projector because it will set you back quite a lot. But the real factor that's important with video projectors is how bright they are, because that brightness is directly commensurate to how dark the room needs to be for you to actually have an enjoyable picture. Now, all of the companies, because of the nature of a video projector, will say that they can project up to being an enormous TV. Like this unit says it could be a 150-inch image, which is great. But if it's not bright enough, that's 150 inches in a pitch dark room, and hopefully it doesn't actually look washed out. Which brings us to the actual projector I'm looking at, and that's this. This is the Kodak LUMA 500 Mini 1080p video projector, and it is a full proper HD 1080p projector, and it is small enough that you can easily toss this into a bag or purse or backpack and use it camping, for example, because one of the things it has is a rechargeable battery, and that battery will run for 2.5 hours because projecting video is a power demanding task. So 2.5 hours with no wires or anything. It does have a screw hole on the bottom, and it includes a little mini tripod so you can set it up and point it. And one of the things this does that really all modern projectors do is it has auto keystone and autofocus. So if I project it perfectly square onto a surface, then it's going to be a nice rectangle. But if I do it like this, then the top's going to be wider than the bottom. This can automatically correct that. That's what's known as automatic keystone correction. So it runs Google TV 11.0, and this is important. It is Netflix certified, so it will run proper Netflix. There are budget video projectors that aren't Netflix certified, and they make you go through extra hoops, and the Netflix you get is not exactly the same version you'd get on like a set-top box. This has exactly that. So it is Netflix certified, built-in Chromecast, so particularly if you're on a PC or an Android phone, you can just throw your video image onto this and it'll project it onto a surface. How cool is that, right? So 1080p full HD and HDR10, so it does have some pretty nice video chops, and you can give it a 4K signal. It will downsample it to 1080p or HD. On the front, you can see there's not a whole lot. There's, I think, a little tiny camera that it's using for the focus and the keystoning, and of course the lens. On the left side are volume up and down. On the right side is a power button. And on the back, it's more interesting, is you have a headphone jack, which of course you can plug in any audio speaker. So that is your secret to having better audio. And USB and HDMI and USB-C. So USB-C is how you charge it. And in fact, it comes with this charger. And what's nice is it is an internationally friendly system. So it includes these other international plugs. You can just switch them out on this. And so if you're traveling through Europe and you pop by Africa and maybe South America on your way back to the States or something, this will be able to work all the way along there, which is really nice. It also includes an HDMI cable in case you want to plug this into your PC or something. And what I really like is it includes a remote, and this is a nice, sleek remote. It has a relatively small number of buttons for one of these sort of remotes. And notice that little microphone button there, and that is because it supports a voice interface. So Google TV lets you ask it to do things. And as Gemini and other AI systems migrate into the Google TV experience, that voice interface is just going to get more and more sophisticated. But the remote control is really primarily where you deal with things. let me just give you a couple more specs, and then we're going to turn off the lights and we're going to see how this thing works. But I also want to tell you it has 1.5 watt speakers. They're pretty small little plinky speakers, but it does support Dolby. Not exactly sure how, but it does have onboard speakers in a pinch and 2.5 hour playback. And here's the most important number, and we're going to come back to this after the demo, is it is a Luma 500. But don't be tricked into thinking that it means it's 500 lumens. I actually kind of have a bone to pick with Kodak. I think that's a little bit tricky there because it's 150 lumens. So it's not a very bright projector. But does that matter? Well, let's find out. I powered it up and I think we're ready to get started. So I'm going to start by pairing my remote. And that looks promising. Pairing successful. Great. So go through the usual, and I'll just skip past this, but we're going to have to pick a country, sign into Wi-Fi, probably look for updates, and then we'll be on the home screen. So let me just jump straight to the home screen. Setup wasn't actually super tedious, but I will say that this is not the fastest processor in this particular projector, which became very obvious as I explored and signed into different apps. But let's have a look. So here, this is Google TV, so I can go down and look at some live shows. We could say sports, and I can pick this. And of course, I don't have the rights to this, so we're going to be on this for a very short amount of time, but you can hear and see it's very clean. We'll back up now. Just unfortunately, I cannot just stream any show or program that I want. You'll see that Google also lists 104 movie channels that are free to stream. These are all ad supported, so you can find all sorts of good stuff and a whole heck of a lot of goodness knows what this stuff is. It is stuff that probably is not worth your time, but we can just try picking this again, just as sort of a random choice. And this drops us into Plex, which I've already signed up with. So Google TV streaming actually is utilizing other streaming services. So now we're in the Plex app, and Plex has its own shows. So that's what it's showing me here, and this is good. We can stick here for a second, because I can do that, but I don't know what this is. So looks like an ad for Disney. So we're going to back up. And so that was live. So I can go to home and you can see the apps on the bottom. Now I haven't installed all of them. It's interesting that I specified that I wanted Netflix and Prime and Free Play, but some of the other ones it just put there anyway. But let's go into Netflix for a second. And Netflix will have its little ad, so I'll choose myself, and you'll be able to see what I've been watching and what's on my top picks. So here's what I've been watching: Money Heist Korea. Very good, very entertaining. But this is very much that Netflix experience, and this is, I think, their newer interface, which is why the specific one I'm looking at has a larger icon. But it's eminently usable, and if I click through, I don't recall watching this show, but we can go in for just, again, a couple of seconds. And I can increase the volume, and it doesn't get hugely loud. That might be different with different streaming services, but that was Netflix. And let's see, I can go to Free Play, which is basically the same thing. It's a list of streaming channels, and you can go through, and in fact, it remembers what I was just watching, so it gives me just another way to get there. I can go into Best of Family Feud, and you can see it picks up the channels pretty darn quickly. And as you can see in this image, it's very nice. I am just projecting this onto a white fold-up screen, and it is about 3.5 feet away from the projector. So that's Google TV Free Play, and actually that was good timing. And so not much else I can show you. I guess we can go and look at the App Store, but it's the Google TV App Store. But what I can do is I can go into Settings, and let's see what we have here. So inputs, pictures, sound, Google Home. So inputs, I could go there and I could switch to, for example, the HDMI in on the device. I don't actually have something set up for that, so that would not be particularly interesting. So let's go back to here, and then let's see what else we have here. So I can switch accounts. I can finish setup, which I thought I had already done. But Bluetooth, I can look at my Wi-Fi features and speed. I can go and adjust the picture. So I have picture mode standard. Maybe I want to have it in movie mode. That should make it probably a little bit more intense with the colors. I could switch to game mode, so I could plug in a game system like a Switch 2. That would be pretty fun. And that's picture. And this is pretty typical that we have to keep going back to change things. And that's okay. You know, this is not something you're going to be doing a lot. And so sound mode, standard, movie, music, sports, custom, surround. Not sure how that works when there's just a tiny couple of speakers, but that's okay. Well, I think I'll switch to movie and hope that that will sound better. And that's pretty much what I have to show you here. I think they've done a very nice job with this. I think that the performance is not lightning fast, and we can see that if I go into an app that I haven't launched yet. So it does take a little while for it to start the app and actually get me to the point where I can actually do something. But again, you know, even if it's like 5 or 10 seconds or even 15 or 20 seconds, and it's not that slow, but even if it was, once you're there, you're now able to navigate pretty speedily and, you know, move around and look at what's here and say, that's the one, and let's watch it. And I'm not going to rent it or buy it, but we can watch the trailer for it.
In 1981, the arcade scene was very big.
And mostly what I want you to see is that the projector does a very nice job with the imagery. It's bright and crisp and eminently watchable. The speaker, you can do better by plugging in a speaker with a fuller sound, but given the size of this thing, this is pretty darn good.
The game would arrive, and
let's go back.
People stacked up and lined up waiting to play.
Maybe I can't go back. There we go. So that's everything I wanted to show you with the Kodak projector. Let me go ahead and jump back on camera. It's a really nice projector, and I did have some issues with actual use, but a lot of those are just sort of getting used to the technology that they've used here. It does work on battery. It's on right now, running off of battery, and I don't know if you can see, but it's projecting onto my hand. Here, I guess I can do this, and you can see it a little better, that it is actually projecting. It is actually on. Here it is on the tripod. It's really easy to work with. It's small, it's light, but it's 150 lumens. And 150 lumens just isn't super bright. And that's something that I think is really important to know. So if you're going to use it in a well-lit room, for example, you want to use it to make a presentation, well, you're going to need to be pretty close to the screen, because remember, the further away it is, the bigger the image, but the less light or brightness there is in sort of per unit area. So if you have it really close, if I had a screen right here, you see it on my hand, then it's going to look pretty bright. But if I then let it go all the way to the wall in the back there, it's not so much bright at all. And so that's the real variable here. They've done a really nice job overall with the engineering. I always appreciate that it's Netflix certified and running proper Google TV, but it's 150 lumens. So that does turn out to be a really important number. So if your intention is to use this in darker spaces like a hotel room at night so the kids can watch cartoons or something, which is really a fun way to do that, then this could be great. And as you can see, it's super portable and it would be very easy to have in your luggage. Just keep it level there. But if you want to have it in a more demanding environment with less darkness or more light, then you might look for something with more lumens. Having said that, it is functional. Again, you have to just sort of set your expectations. If you want it to be super crisp, like it's having a 100-inch TV, you're not going to get that. But if you want to have it where you can see enough of it that maybe you can watch a sporting event on a wall in your office while you're actually working, then this could be a really good solution. So, bit of a mixed bag, but overall, I think Kodak's done a really nice job. I'm looking forward to the next generation when they bump it from 150 lumens to maybe 400 lumens. And that will be a big change. That will make a big difference. But that's what I got. I think it's definitely one to put on your short list. It has a lot of really nice capabilities and it's super easy to work with. We do need to talk price. Before we get to the price, I'm going to invite you to subscribe to my channel. Click or tap on that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon for notifications of my new content. And if you found this of value, give me a thumbs up. Excellent. All right. So this is the Kodak LUMA 500 Mini 1080p video projector. It comes in black, or there's also a model in white. They're both exactly the same price, and that is $643.99 at Amazon.com. So that is a pretty premium purchase here. It is a really nice piece of hardware. Just make sure before you get it that 150 lumens is going to be sufficient for you. That's what I got. I think I might go back to Netflix. I am in the middle of a couple of programs. So I'll hope to catch you in my next video.